It's Thursday evening. Welcome to the programme. The Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn says his ideas can transform the UK. So we start tonight with what their manifesto pledges could mean for people living in and around the capital. Among the promises, an ambitious plan for more council homes, nationalising key industries and tax increases on higher earners. We've been getting reaction from voters in one of London's most marginal seats. So let's join our political editor Tim Donovan in Barnet. Tim.
Riz, yeah, Chipping Barnet is the name of the constituency, and going into this election, they have a member of the cabinet as their MP, Theresa Villiers, who is the Environment Secretary, but she has a very, very narrow majority, 350 odd, which makes it numerically or on paper for Labour their number one target seat in the capital. So it's really important that some of the ideas in their manifesto today landed well in this area.
In Barnet, the best politician has been a Conservative. But Theresa Villiers won last time by just 353 votes, which is why this is an important test for Labour. This is a housing estate in transition, the new and the not yet demolished. Mudassir is a security guard who lives here and is won over by Labour's promise of hundreds of thousands of new council homes.
I've been living in a council house for about 20 years now, and it's taking a long time to renovate, and I think social housing is really important for the general population, because obviously not many people, especially young people, can't afford to buy a home.
John is now retired from his job as a lorry driver. He's voted Labour in the past, but he's given up faith now, in all parties.
If it happens, it's a brilliant idea, but we know from past experience that it probably won't happen. There was going to be a lot of social housing on this estate, and it's been reduced. I don't know the numbers, but it's gone down dramatically to a very small figure.
You can tell the pressure on the local hospital from the car park, a waiting time for spaces. But if Labour say only they can be trusted with public services like the NHS, what faith does Jocelyn here, who's a tour guide by profession, have in them?
Very little, to be honest. There's the huge spending plans, and that'll lead to a lot of taxation and a lot of borrowing, and yet we've just been through an austerity programme to bring the borrowing down.
But Angela, who's a teacher, has a son who's asthmatic and who's been treated here many times. Who does she trust?
I can tell you who I don't trust, which is I don't trust Boris Johnson. I am all for ending austerity. You know, I think we have been subjected to pretty horrendous circumstances and conditions over the last 10 years, and that needs to change.
Louise is gearing up for the busiest time of year in her high street gift shop, but she's worried about Labour's taxing and spending.
Life isn't just about benefiting yourself, is it? I completely get that, and you know that's what Labour are about, is benefiting everybody, and I completely get that. But you also do have to look at your own home and your family and your own, you know, your own life and your own business, and I can't see what they're offering me.
But browsing for presents is Anna, an environmental health officer, who thinks Labour's plans to bring services back into public ownership is money well spent.
I do think nationalisation is viable. I know it's a lot of money to invest, and for a lot of people it's probably quite a scary idea because they're used to private companies running these. But take the rail service and transport across the country, there are so many issues with it, and I don't think that the system is working. I think it's broken.
Gifts and choices and how much it's all going to cost. It's that time of year.
Early days, of course, Tim, but what's your assessment of how this has gone down?
Well, things like free broadband, improving connectivity, the public sector wage rises, renationalisation, particularly of the rail service and water, I found here today. There's definitely potential for those policies to cut through, but everyone knows they're costly pledges. Yes, Labour is saying they are also costed, but obviously that means a taxation which concerns some big business, will concern some in the city, disproportionately in London, given the number of high earners. The capital ends up bearing more of that tax burden. But Labour are saying, you know, they need to shift the dial on here. They want this to be transformative. What's happened these last 10 years, it is intentional to try and shift the thinking. The issue is people like Louise we saw in the gift shop. She likes the principles, but is not quite convinced yet that we can afford it.
OK, Tim, for now, many thanks.